Bonjour, YouTube. It's Lux La Femme. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on my videos. And mesdames and messieurs, please don't forget to click the notification bell. I have been on a transcendent journey this whole week. Probably a year ago, I purchased an Audible book from the author Dr. David Hawkins, and the title of it is Letting Go. I've had this book for a year, as I shared, and I listened to some of it and downloaded the PDF that came with it about where your level of emotion is at any given time. And for a couple of days I was using it, but just fell off. I finally decided to finish the book, and 11 hours later, it changed my life. Very few books have ever changed my life like this, but it's a true statement. Very few books have changed my life in this manner. I am so different. I'm serious, like thinking in a different way, that I was able to let go of the pain of the past, forgive the last narcissist in my story, prior narcissist in my story, my parents. Every time I think about something negative, now I forgive them, and then asking the universe for forgiveness for my part that I played. Things are clicking as far as putting things in perspective. I love that book. I am going to buy all of his books. Dr. David Hawkins. I've been watching YouTube videos on him now, and I get something out of it, out of all the videos I've watched, out of the book that I am re-listening to, because I really am looking for that spiritual level up journey. I want that spiritual level up journey. I want to vibrate in a higher plane of existence. That is what I want. As you see, the title is on the lessons of lies. And lies teach valuable lessons if we're paying attention. In the book Letting Go, Dr. David Hawkins talks about, sitting in the truth, and that our emotions are not necessary. They're not telling the truth. They're telling things based on our perspective, how we see a certain situation. So then it's to break down the feeling, to be able to sit in the feeling. Our feelings are the human condition. We're not going to get away from them. They're not going to go away. One of the things that he talks about is the ego. And that's why I titled this, this is concerning our egos and the lies that our egos tell. Our egos have their own agenda, and we are not on their agenda. So I want to share a couple of things that came to me as I was listening to the book. The first thing is, our egos were created by the lies of our environment. And lies and deceit continue to feed our ego. That negative voice, the negative internal monologue, comes from the environmental messages that we have received since being born. Being able to identify and understand. And I believe that infants, as I watched my daughter and my son as they grew up, that when they were babies, they could pick up on the environment without fully understanding the language. But they could pick up on things going on in the environment, and they would respond accordingly. So even though, I think we forget the nonverbal messages that our environment can pick up on. People in the environment. Animals even pick up on the environment, what's going on. They can sense what's up in the environment. And I say even animals are better at it than we are. The other thing that I learned that was so interesting, that led me back to thinking about the night I left the Narcissist, was when you say you can't, and this is Dr. David Hawkins saying this, when you say you can't, you're really saying you don't want to. And I had to come to the understanding that at the time, even after being attacked, I was still reluctant to leave. It wasn't until the side supply, the side appliance, as HDG Tutor refers to. By the way, check out HG Tutor's his channel. He is very, very knowledgeable on narcissism. He's by far, he's one of the best YouTubers one of the best YouTube experts on the subject of narcissism. But Dr. David Hawkins is the best expert on healing and letting go, in my opinion, just my opinion. And I've gone through quite a bit of them. So he works for me. And it's kind of like, and not, just to put it into some kind of context that perhaps other people can understand. It's like skincare. You have to find the right regime for you. For me, the right regime towards healing, the path of healing, is David Hawkins. Another epiphany I had was, when you are raised in toxicity, your ego will crave toxic stimuli. And that's so profound to me. In my opinion, that's a true statement, like down to the DNA truth. If you're raised in toxicity, your ego craves that messiness. It craves it, which would explain why, against our better judgment and our better, against what we know to be best for ourselves, we enmesh ourselves in trauma bonds with people who don't want our best interests at heart, that only cause chaos and drama. Our egos, though, are craving that. Our egos crave chaos and confusion, mess and illusion. Our egos crave it. And narcissists are more than happy to fulfill that. They are more than happy. In reading or listening to Dr. David Hawkins, it created such a profound sense of calm and peace. What I have craved, what I want, what I crave, what my spirit craves, is that calm and peace of mind and the letting go and forgiveness. And that's what this book has given me. This message, I should say, that my spirit received. Now, do I have to deal with my ego every day? Yes, that has not changed. It's just what's changed is how I deal with my ego and the messages that my ego likes to wallow in. It is not, it never fails. My ego creates arguments in my mind. My ego creates a thought geared to me arguing or me coming up. Like I've had this art, like trying to control the narrative of a pretend situation. And I think that's a part of the human condition too. So every time my ego gets to going, there are times I'm able to just squash it, and then other times I actually entertain it until I realize, oh my God, that old pattern. And so I stop myself and ask the question, now what? Dr. David Hawkins uses that. And I've had to do that several times. Okay, now what? All right, yeah, I'm going to give a scenario of using now what. So my mind wants to start an argument about a Facebook post. Okay, so I perceive, and I'm just using this in a general term, I perceive that I am being judged by another person, someone in my family. So my ego gets to talking. Who do they think they are? Who are they talking to? I know they ain't coming at me. Now I go back, okay. Yeah, now I come back at my ego and go, okay, but now what? What if they are? Now what? Well, that's not fair for them to say anything to me. Okay, now what? Well, now I feel like I got to answer back. Okay, now what? Well, if I answer back, I could cause problems. Okay, now what? Well, now what? And then, at times then my ego gets to stop and goes, well, now what? And maybe I might be saying it wrong at this point. It's either now what or what now. But if it's not now what, if it's what now, it's still a question of, and then? And then what? Maybe that's what it was. And then what? And then what? And then what? I think that is what it is. And then what instead of now what? And then what? Which another epiphany just hit me, how powerful words are and how you use them. Again, mon amis, I am desperate for learning lessons and moving forward and moving on. I don't want to hold on to anything negative. So even if I do something wrong, I can still learn something from it. And that's my now what. And it says I say that to you, I can feel it vibrating through my whole body. Just that lesson right there, just vibrating. Like, okay, you made a mistake. And now what? Is it the end of the world? No. And now what? I go on. Now what? I learn. Now what? I grow. Now what? I'm better. I'm glad to be able to share this with you. Mesdames et messieurs, mon amis of YouTube. May you find the message you need to heal, the message you need to hear that will take you to heights you never thought you could get to. Heights can get you past judgment of others, judgment of yourself, of harsh criticism, the guilt, the resentment, the anger, the sadness, the shame. May you find that message that takes you further than you've ever been before. I pray we all learn the lessons that lies teach so that we can learn the truth and let that lie and those lies before it and after it go. Au revoir, mon amis. Thank you for your time. We'll talk again.